Hi everyone, Dr. Emmy from Pain Free and Fit. Today, a great exercise for those of you with degenerative herniated and bulging discs in your lower back. We're going to introduce the stepping calf raise. It's a great alternative to heavy calf raises that spares your lower back from compression and injury. Hope you enjoy. So one of the questions I get from online clients as well as my patients that love to go to the gym and train calves heavy is, how do I train calves in the gym without aggravating my disc herniations and bulges or degenerative discs? Well, if you've seen any of our other videos on the channel, you realize that we've talked about two main causes of disc aggravation in the gym. One is flexion, where we're bending forward from the waist or the tail is going under, and we're flattening the natural curve or lordosis in the lower back. When we do that, it compresses the disc and causes the front of the disc to become more compressed than the back of the disc, or wedged. And this results in the nucleus, or the inner jelly in the disc, moving or migrating backwards into those herniations and bulges and putting pressure on the back wall of the disc where pain-sensitive fibers exist. That causes our pain. The same thing can happen from vertical compression. When we go to the gym and when we train legs with exercises like standing calf raises on a calf machine where we have pads over our shoulders to go up and down, we increase that vertical compression. That's why it aggravates our lower back disc condition. Same thing with many options like calf raises on leg machines. When you go to a leg sled, you have your legs up and your feet are bending backwards and then moving the weight. That translates into a compressive force, although your upper body you think is out of it because your hip is locked in against the back of the sled. That force comes through the legs and into the lower back, causing compression and irritation. So today we're going to introduce an exercise that may at first seem simple, but once you get into it, you'll realize how much you calves really can get a great workout from. And it's called a stepping calf raise. What we do is we take the normal mechanics of walking and we use it into a exercise or motion that's going to stimulate the calf without that compression. Now, if you think about the idea of calf training, whether we're standing on a calf machine or on a leg press or sled where our ankles are bending down, we're trying to stretch the calf over a full range of motion. If I were to just raise my calf on the floor, that's only a partial range of motion. I'd have to go somewhere where I have an increased height so I can lower my calf further down from the front of my foot. That increases plantar flexion, which is the amount of ankle range of motion where the heel is down. That stretches the calf. That gives me a fuller range of motion to work up and down. So the way we're going to do that when we're flat on the floor is we're simply going to use the mechanics of walking where one foot is forward and one foot is back. When I do that, this rear foot, if you notice, has the same position of the ankle. And that's going to give me a greater range of motion in stimulating the calf muscle as the heel raises than would be if I'm on the floor and my feet are flat with my feet together. So what we're going to do in this position, without any weight at first, is we're going to hold our feet, and it doesn't have to be a wide stance in terms of our split between back and front foot, but we need enough to feel that we can control our balance with our front foot as we come up and as we come down. You could do this next to a wall or something to hold on to for a little stability as you come up and down. But the beauty of not holding on is now you're creating the calf muscle to twitch and to fire in all different ways from the inner to the outer sides of the muscle to help balance the ankle. That ankle, the proprioception coming up, or the information coming up from that ankle in terms of where my balance is firing all types of signals into your central nervous system. And the central nervous system then is creating all kinds of muscular contractions, both in the calf, the peroneus, all different types of muscles around your ankle to balance you as you're coming up and down. And you'll notice that as you do that, the calf is trained in a way that it's not used to when it has perfect balance. So that's why it's great to start this exercise with no additional weight. Now, once you get better at this, you can of course hold the dumbbell in the hand where the leg is standing. And I would start light because of the balance situation. And as you get your balance down, you can increase weight. The other way of increasing this, because even though we're holding one dumbbell, if you have an acute disc herniation, there is some compression on the spine, is to slow down the cadence of this exercise. So if I start out with a cadence of, let's say, 1 second up and 1 second down, I can slow that down to eventually 1 or 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down. and eventually 1 or 2 or 3 seconds up. You can see the balance challenge. Now if you want, you can use a little light tapping to help you with that as you slow down your cadence, but try not to hold on too much, and you'll notice that that calf muscle starts working. Again, watch the split stance in terms of how much you're spaced between front and back foot, and tap on and off, working at a slower cadence up and down. And you'll really feel that calf contract much more so than when you do a regular calf raise where you have everything nice and stable. Now some of the points to watch out for with this so you don't hurt your lower back are when the leg is back, there's going to be an increase in the natural arch of the lower back if you're not controlling that. Right? With hip extension, as the leg comes behind you, typically the low back wants to arch. So even though maintaining a neutral spine or safe position in your back may have some arch, if you have too much arch, you're going to start to feel pain. So again, to know where you are with where your neutral arch needs to be, you tuck your tail under to flatten your back to the point of a slight discomfort, and then go the opposite way and raise your tail bone to feel a little arch in your back. At a certain point, you'll feel discomfort. You want to place your arch between or in the middle of those two extremes that cause discomfort. That's going to be your safest spot. And you're going to use your abdominal muscles to hold that as you step back with that foot. The other thing to watch out for is as we're slowly going up and down in our calf raise, there's going to be a tendency for a lateral or sideways motion to happen on that standing side. As I come up, you'll notice that your rib cage wants to tilt in. Now, if your disc herniation is aggravated with side motions, that's something you want to watch out for. You want to make sure that the rib cage stays up or level, and you want to make sure that the hips stay level. The other mistake would be that the hip would want to shift up on that side, hip hiking. So one of the ways you can monitor this is to just put your thumbs under the side of your ribs, your index fingers on the top of your hips, and as you're coming up and down, you're going to slowly monitor that you're staying level in that motion. And finally, there's a rotational component that many times goes off with this exercise, which is if we have a tendency to externally rotate one leg more than another, meaning we sit with one leg crossed, we stand or walk with the legs turned out more than 7 degrees, the pelvis in relation to that leg likes to turn away from that leg. So this comes into play with all one-legged standing exercises. In the stepping calf raise, as I come up on this leg, my pelvis is going to have a natural tendency to move away from my leg or go this way. And if that's irritating your disc, because rotational components many times do irritate discs, you have to check that by keeping the pelvis or the pubic bone turned in towards the standing leg so you don't do that. So you have a bunch of different vectors of motion to watch out for. 1, you don't want to overarch your lower back. 2, you don't want to lean sideways. And 3, you don't want to have your pelvis turn away. Again, tapping on at the beginning to work on these and create a good mechanical, stable, neutral spine, both from an arch, lateral flexion, and rotation component is good. But then after a while, less tapping and move that calf raise up and down, holding everything stable. You're going to get a great core workout as well as a great calf workout. Questions or comments about this exercise, feel free to write in. I'll do my best as always to answer. If you're looking for a great way to analyze your biomechanics and figure out what are my mechanical faults, what are my posture movement tendencies that aggravate my back that I have to check and watch for in the gym, check out our Fast Track program for degenerative discs, available at painfreeandfit.com. It's applicable not only for degenerative discs, but also for herniated and bulging discs. And as always, I'm available online for consultations to help you figure out what your mechanics are. I hope you've enjoyed this video on calf training with the stepping one-legged calf raise for degenerative, herniated, and bulging discs.